the idea is based on identity. So you're creating that identity. You're saying, I am either in recovery at the very least, or you are saying, I am this person. It's essentially looking at light instead of that devil on your shoulder and talking to the devil. You're not talking to those demons on your shoulder saying, I am that person. You're saying, I'm distancing myself. There you go. I'm a triathlete. I'm an ultra endurance triathlete. That's an ultra endurance triathlete. Whether you believe it or not, in my mind, they do not masturbate to porn. Why? Because they don't have time.
Welcome. This show empowers you to confront and overcome addiction with real stories, inspiration, and a host of resources. Our growing community supports, uplifts, and takes action to enable a new way of living. Now, F3 Recovery brings you the Super Sober Podcast. All right, welcome to Super Sober Podcast number 46. Thanks for tuning in. Man, we are ready to go here. We have another unbelievable guest. Just want to let you know, I'm your host. My name is Brett C. My sobriety date is 4/21/03. I'm an RN with a BSN. I've been helping people suss out this crazy convoluted disease addiction. And don't forget about our producer over here, Solomon, at the podcast place. It is unbelievable. You can go from zero to podcast. Come on in and see him here if you're in the local area, or we can remote you in. And we're going to be doing an unbelievable interview with J.D. Tremblay. He is an amazing story of transformation and extreme athleticism. But first, like we do before every podcast here on SSP, is some rad sobriety milestone shout outs. And that is Francisco M. with 1 year, Chris Z. with 2 years, and then your host, me, Brett C. with 23 years. Bam. And don't forget about all my brothers and sisters that I took chips with right down the street at the MWA Alano Club here in Long Beach, California. It was amazing. Sat there with about 10 other people taking chips. And shout out to the MWA Alano Club with 50 years of service and changing lives right down the street here in Long Beach, California. And also to everyone else with any stint of sobriety, we salute you. Bam. Now the introduction for our guest before we introduce him live on this flipping podcast, let's go, is J.D. Tremblay. J.D. Tremblay is the Director of High Performance and Mental Resilience Advisor at Hungry Warrior Academy. He understands firsthand what it takes to overcome extreme challenges and rebuild yourself to operate at a higher level. As an integrated engineer, military veteran, naturopathic practitioner, and ultra-endurance athlete, he has tested human limits in some of the toughest environments on the planet, including the epic Deca, where he became one of only 3 people ever to compete 10 Ironman distance triathlons in 10 consecutive days across 6 Hawaiian islands. Let's go. He didn't just speak about pushing limits, he proved the science by testing human endurance at the highest level. That journey wasn't just about physical strength. It was about mindset, purpose, and faith. It inspired him to write the best-selling book, Hunger for More in Life, which looks at what it means to push beyond limits and overcome mental struggles. He has dedicated his life to helping people crush their battles and rediscover their God-given purpose. It's time to turn your struggles into your greatest triumphs. Without further ado, let's introduce J.D. Tremblay. Here you go, brother. Go ahead and say hi. That's a lot of accolades. Let's go. Let's just go and like how you're growing up and your childhood and all that stuff. How did you get to be this unbelievable character that you are today?
Well, thank you, Brett, for the introduction. There's not much to say about myself because there's nothing special about me. I only follow certain systems and then it leads to greater heights. So to me, I am just following systems.
Of course, you're extremely humble, right? Yeah.
Well, I grew up in the northern part of Quebec in a French area. So I'm French Canadian. And then at the age of 17, it was a tumultuous environment with my parents getting a divorce and a lot of bullying at school. I joined the military when I was just a child. So I got my parents to sign on the dotted line for me. So I still made my own decision when it came to them giving me a gun, but I'm the one that I served for over a decade.
Well, let's
Thinking that
just stop right there for a second. I'm not too familiar with how the Canadian military is. Does it have the same branches as the American?
correct. We just don't have the Marines. That's it. We're
Oh,
not as cool. Yeah.
so which branch were you then? Was it Army?
I was Navy. I was
Okay,
Navy.
cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And I served for over a decade. And after the military, I went to get an engineering degree at the University of Western in Ontario. Then that degree gave me the opportunity to put what I had in practice and transition well from the military to the civilian. Although I was thinking that I would not use what I learned in the military, what it taught me is that the military doesn't give you discipline. The military gives you a structure and it gives you system. So there's a lot of undisciplined military members and there are a lot of disciplined military members. So the way that I could characterize them is one group is following the system and following the set structure that they have in place to achieve their goal. And then there are others that just don't follow that system and those structure in place. For example, 28% of the Canadian military is obese. So they are at a point where they cannot even be deployed. And that's a national security issue that was posted 1 or 2 years ago. And the Minister of Defense was saying that they did not want that report to come out because, again, that's a lot of people. 1 in 4 cannot even be deployed because of obesity, which again just proves my point based on facts and data, not just emotional as to how I feel about it, but based on facts. There are a lot of people that are not disciplined enough. They don't have the self-control to follow the structure that are in place. The military has a lot to do with providing the structure to eat at a certain time. They give you courses on how to breathe, how to walk. But if you don't follow a set structure in that system, then you might end up being one of those individuals that cannot function well in society. So again, a lot of misconception with people that are or never served in the military is that they say, well, the military gives you discipline. Well, they don't just issue you a kit and then all of a sudden cut your brain and put a chip inside of it and say, here's discipline. Yeah. It doesn't happen like that. What they give you is that structure and that system. And what I learned from the military is that here's the mission. Here's point A, here's point B. We want you to achieve that mission. We don't care how you achieve it, just achieve it, and that's it. So I carried that over to the civilian. Now in the civilian, I went to learn about mathematics and systems and how to break them down into bite-sized pieces so that everybody can understand them, because a lot of it had to do with the systems that we're talking about calculus and second order differential equations, which a lot of people are not even able to comprehend. But once you say, well, here's a spring, here's how it works, then people are able to understand it. So breaking down systems where people can understand them and put them into practice, that's what I specialized in. So I went after this to an institute and learned for years about anatomy and about the nutrition and how the body can function. Because it's not just about getting the systems in place and getting the structure. If your energy regulation is not in place, it will be highly difficult to function. And so that's why it became part of our system once I finished the Epic Deca. So our system is called the Deca system.
Okay, well, wait, hold on one second here. We are like way into the epic Deca already, but let's get into a little. Let's rewind a little bit here because um, in with a lot of our listeners and everything, we like to juice up the pre-story of how your parents got divorced, and it seems like you kind of did a little bit of geographics and kind of wanted to get out of that environment. And I know you were sharing before when you sent me some of your history that you did have some addiction problems and some issues um, going through that. You didn't just, did you have, how was it really difficult for you to navigate that going from 17 to the military? And what were some of those struggles with the divorce of your parents and some addiction issues that you had?
Well, I'll go straight up with the addiction for sure. I was 12 years old. I had no trauma at all whatsoever. There was no sexual misconduct from any parents or anyone else. I did it out of my own will. I was hiding from it, and for me, it was porn. And the way I saw it was, it felt good, and I was leading my decisions um, based on feelings, not like now where I'm basing my decision based on fact and logic. So at the age of 12 years old, I started masturbating to pornography. I speak about it openly because it is a topic, a conversation that is quite controversial with men. Many don't see it as an addiction or a behavior, because those behavioral addictions are not like drug addictions, or there's no center for these types of men. And many men would even view it as just normal.
Yeah.
So
But
there
that
was
can give
no,
you a very skewed outlook of how sex really is and how relationships really bond and how you're going to treat women or actually be with your first encounter. That was a big thing when I was growing up. Also, I had a friend who was very addicted to it. And that was back in the old days, like masturbating in a time machine, watching, with Playboy, and shout out to the Step Brothers scene right there, when they were in the treehouse looking at their old porn magazines. But yeah,
yeah.
and then the evolution of it with the computer and where we were, which scene of the porno industry were you in at 12 years old?
Oh, it's completely different. The landscape has changed drastically. We had four channels. The only porn that was available, I grew up in a Baptist evangelist home. So my dad was,
Bet you were
yeah,
hiding that.
it was, it was only at a certain time, and during that half-hour episode with one of those four channels, it was only at a certain time during that half hour that you could view one thing. So again, it was very minimal, the amount of porn that I had access to in the home. It's not until I reached the military that's when people were telling me 99% of guys are doing it and 1% are lying about it or hiding it. So I said, well, okay. So I thought, well, I'm in the 99. It's okay. I'm normal.
That's kind
And
of
then I
interesting
started,
because I from the generation my every year my dad got a subscription of Playboy from my uncle. So that was like very prevalent me growing up was, Playboy magazine. So interesting.
yeah. And so now it's changed completely. I have a son, and we went. So we don't have video games in the house, and he's growing up in a Christian home. However, one day we went to somewhat of an arcade, and I tried this VR. And after playing for a bit, I removed those VR goggles, and my head was spinning. I'm in a completely different world. And I went to the washroom, put some water in my eyes, and that's where it hit me that the landscape has changed completely.
Mm.
some voice in my head was saying, well, imagine now these kids where you add robotics, AI, and VR, those goggles that you are in a complete other realm, and then you just merge it with porn. Nobody will want to have sexual intercourse with another human being because now you have perfection where you click a button and you're in another realm with another partner. There's no one that will be able to compete, male or female, at that level. And so you're essentially destroying an entire, not just generation, you're destroying the world. And this is happening right now.
Yeah,
And so
that's pretty extreme and stuff, but I can see where that'll be going more into all the information. And so you when when did you get married? You know, kind of rewinding back to where you
mm,
were an engineer and everything. And so that really affected you during the military. The Everybody was kind of into porn and everything, right? And then you got out of the military. And how long did this issue last for you?
a lot of people are in the military definitely had this issue. They did not see it as such. I did not have people to somewhat bounce off the idea. My dad was completely closed. I remember trying to talk to my dad about it. Now we talked about it. But again, now it's not part of my life. But
Right.
I overcame it. But my dad, I talked to him about it. He was not a sounding board. He said, I don't want to talk about sex with you. Like, this not, these are not topics I want to talk to with my kid. Uh, I got married in 2009. My now ex-wife was not for these types of behaviors, so I started seeking some help. So when I started to seek help, a lot of people thought that the type of topic that I was pleasuring myself to were uh, illegal, right? Such as children or animal or other. And I said, no, this is not what I'm into, like, at all. I like like this is all legal. It's just that I pleasure myself to screens. And so they thought, well, you must be a saint because now you're not cheating on your wife, you're not going to strip clubs, you are not doing, like, you're not with prostitutes, so therefore you're fine. You are in military operations, you are leaving. And so to me, it felt normal. Like I really thought that this was all normal because again, now you're being told by the people that you're asking for advice. I'm doing everything legally. I'm only hiding it. There's nothing illegal. Like there's no, like I'm not exposing myself. And I really thought that I was not hurting anybody else. And
That's
little did I know that I was hurting everybody around me because I was not giving the full potential, the full JD. I was hurting my body at a point where now I know that the research is showing that it's affecting the brain even at the physiological level. So the brain structure is forming around it. And they've shown, even with scans, that it's hurting the brain even more than hard drugs.
wow.
And those are only making decision on watching screens.
Yeah, well, I
So
mean, your subconscious doesn't know the difference. I mean, it's taking in all that information, and wow. I mean, you were explaining some of the classic signs of all addiction, right? I'm not hurting anybody else. It's legal. It's okay. Those whole things, and it encapsulates right into what this podcast is about and how we get over that. So, what was the big downfall? What was your hitting bottom point? I mean, was it getting towards the divorce with your wife that helped you turn everything around to become this new phase of JD Tremblay?
definitely, when I came back from a military operation, my wife was gone with another man. And I thought at that point, this was, it's her fault. It's all her. And when I'm a Christian guy, so I started looking at the Bible and what sins are, and then I started looking at it, and one of them is that, well, a sin is a sin. So I started looking at it as, well, what I did on a laptop or a phone is the exact same as doing it with a real person. And then you start reading even more because, well, I will be judged even more by God because I was meant to be the leader of the family as the man. And so now the responsibility falls on me for not abiding by certain principles of holding on to a relationship and abiding by some healthy behaviors for the family. So we went through a divorce, and I essentially, after this, I started rebuilding. And you start rebuilding from the ground up, and then you start making small changes. But then I went to one of those meetings, and they were talking about 12 steps, and then they were talking about, there was another group, and then they were talking about 8 steps. And I said, well, it's so complicated because I cannot remember 12 things, because now I have to focus on this addiction. I have to completely cut it out of my life. So a lot has to do with triathlon, definitely. And then we built a system called Rise in the Hungry Warrior Academy. And that constituted of 4 steps, and that's because to me 12 steps was way too much and it was too complicated for for my brain, and it really encompassed all 12 steps but into 4. So
So you
that's
really
when
switched from one addiction and then you really started creating new habits. I mean, the one way that we know to get rid of old habits is to create new habits. And now you've created this new life and a new program and a new way for a lot of people to not even slip into these issues. So that's really commendable. I appreciate that.
yeah, I went from a person uh, who would be on a screen in just lost and completely devoid of a lot of my full energy, where I could have focused on other tasks that are way more meaningful to create a better world for others around me. And instead, I just destroyed the life that I had before. And now I started to swim, bike, and run. In essence, I think, yeah, you are correct. I went from one addiction to the next, and seeing the changes, the physiological changes, uh, the way I was able to function. And the only way I would function would be to jump in the snow in the middle of winter. And that's when I discovered that, well, cold plunges
Yeah.
can help,
The
definitely.
latest rage
Uh,
for sure.
yeah.
And all the science with all that stuff is so great. It's amazing.
Yeah. I I was doing a lot of triathlon, and I exchanged one for the next. And then knowing more about my addiction, studying it, making sure that I would be, again, our system is based on RISE, which is recognize the pattern, I is identity, S is structure, and E is engage in healthy challenges. And so by following these 4 steps, that's when I broke that cycle. Now, I'm not removing anything from God. Obviously, there's this entity that took care of all the other variables that are around me that I could not control. But if I recognize the pattern where all of these cravings came from, how what I was eating was not contributing to certain types of habits. So if all of a sudden I woke up in the morning and my cortisol level is high, so you start the day, you're stressed, even if you slept very well, and then you start eating a lot of carbs, then you have to spend it right away, because if you're eating a lot of carbs, then now your insulin is high. So again, based on energy regulation, then your brain, like your entire body is all stress. So now you're prone to anxiety because your entire systems are stressed. And now a lot of people are going in front of a computer. Well, if you are stressed with cortisol in the morning and then you eat carbs in the morning, now it's not to change the carbs. It was to use them in a way that was conducive to my growth. So I was eating the carbs and then going to work out right away. So then it would use up that energy, and then you increase cortisol levels. So you have to understand that concept that by working out, you're increasing cortisol, but you're decreasing insulin eventually because now you're using those carbs. So I started understanding how to regulate my energy by recognizing these patterns. My identity was not, I am an addict. It was because a lot of people start with, well, here I am an addict. Well, what you're saying is to your brain, which is your subconscious, and you alluded to it earlier, you're saying to your brain you're an addict. So you're saying you're a victim of that system, or you're saying I am an addict. So you're telling your brain, I want to do this, but I'm not going to do it. So by changing that concept and saying I am a triathlete, or I am a Christian man. That's it. I'm a Christian. Well, Christian man, you're not going to do this. Why? Because you have to abide by a certain standard. Similarly to a vegan, right? It's easier to go vegan because you would be saying, well, I'm a vegan, so therefore I cannot do this. So your identity become on veganism. Now, we don't get into a debate whether it's good or not. The idea is based on identity. So you're creating that identity. You're not saying I'm an addict. You're saying I am either in recovery at the very least, or you are saying I am this person. Therefore, that person that you just committed to, you're saying I am no longer that person. But you don't have to say you're no longer that person. It's essentially looking at light instead of that devil on your shoulder and talking to the devil. You're not talking to those demons on your shoulder saying, well, I'm an addict, or I am that person. You're saying, I'm distancing myself. There you go. I'm a triathlete. I'm an ultra endurance triathlete. That's an ultra endurance triathlete. Whether you believe it or not, in my mind, they do not masturbate to porn. Why? Because they don't have time. Their life is revolving around these types of behaviors. So again, based on identity, which is the I. S is the structure. If you want to quit eating pasta, you're not going to keep pasta in your house. So you build a structure around it. And then E is engage in healthy challenges. Well, those healthy challenges, well, whether people look at it or not as healthy is irrelevant. I do look at it as healthy. The Epic Deca was healthy. Again, I did not move directly from 0 to Epic Deca. I moved from to smaller challenges. And that's why I said at the beginning of the podcast, I just followed certain systems that are easy for everyone to understand. 4 steps: rise, recognize patterns, identity, structure, engage in healthy habits. Boom. Everybody can steal it, use it in their personal life. And even if you hurt your brain at a level where structurally it's not sound to make healthy decision, everyone that we've talked to are able to remember that one word for that entire podcast, one word, 4 letters that define the entire system that anybody can use.
That's amazing. Thanks for breaking that down so simplistically. And man, we are halfway through the podcast already. Just want to let you know we're going to be going to our commercial, our sponsor. That's His House New Creation. If anybody needs any help out there, you just reach out to this number and call 877-345-4138. And that number again is 877-345-4138. His House New Creation. And we'll be right back with JD Tremblay.
At Embrace Life Change, your journey to mental wellness begins in a place where understanding meets action, where care is personalized and recovery is achievable. With over 30 years of experience, our expert team offers a range of evidence-based treatments tailored to each individual's needs. From anxiety and depression to complex psychiatric disorders, our comprehensive approach includes cognitive behavioral therapy, mindfulness practices, and innovative programs designed for deep healing. Our small treatment groups ensure personalized care, fostering stronger connections, and a supportive community that empowers your recovery journey. Hear from those who've embraced change and found hope, healing, and a path to a better life with us. Embrace Life Change is more than a treatment center. It is a place where lasting change begins. If you or someone you love is seeking help, call us first. Let's take that first step together towards a brighter future. Embrace Life Change, nurturing mental health, where hope and healing meet.
Okay, thanks for listening to Glenn's Place. Doing big things out there with his house, new creation. Was on a Zoom call with the alumni program on Sunday night meeting. It was unbelievable. So thanks for supporting us, Glenn, and his house, new creation. Just wanted to get back to JD Tremblay here. Let's get into how you got into the epic Deca and all of so relatable to recovery and how people change. We got our 12 steps. You got your 4 steps. There's steps. There's always certain ways and how much self-help programs are out there right now. Seems like every day that I look that someone's coming up with a new self-help program. It is unbelievable. The self-help industry is supposedly supposed to be taken off into the billion-dollar industries. It's always been there, but everybody that I look at when you come into this industry is someone's making some unbelievable progress. And you were taking your steps, you got into it, you changed your life, you had an addiction, divorce with your parents, raised with a lot of Christian values, and now you're in your life. You've got out of that. You've got into a whole new program. You're into helping people. We know that the 12-step program is into helping others get outside of yourself, clean the inside, live from the inside out, not from the outside in. You're working on nutrition. I mean, what a deep dive you've taken. And let's get into a little bit of the nitty gritty of how you got into the epic Deca.
Yeah, I started doing a lot of Ironman and ultra endurance triathlon to overcome these mental struggles that came with restructuring of my mindset. And I did a lot of sprint triathlons. Then I ended up with Ironman. Then I went with Ultraman. And then I was blessed enough to be having the opportunity to be one of the 10 people to be part of the epic Deca. 6 showed up on the start line and only 3 finished in the world.
Wow, that's crazy. So just a little trajectory. What's the difference between the different races, right? You did the Ironman and then the Ultra. And what's the Ironman consist of? Just for our listeners really quick, because I know a lot of people that get into recovery and the next thing you know, they're doing that. They're getting in and they have the routine and the structure and the discipline and the steps in their life to apply to all aspects of their life. And they're doing marathons and triathlons and extreme biking and a lot of physicality that goes into it. So can you kind of break down the trajectory between what that Epic Deca was and then starting off like in your little marathons?
Sure. The Ironman distance is part of triathlon. Triathlon is the sport consisting of 3 legs. So one is the swim, the second is the bike, and then the third one is the run. There are different distances based on which event you are doing. For the Ironman, it is in America 2.4 miles of swimming, 112 miles of cycling, and then you follow it up with a full marathon. Now, the official Ironman, you have to finish it in 17 hours. that is 1 Ironman. Now, for an Ultraman, you double the distance and you do it over the span of 3 days. There are about 100 people in the world that do each event, so to speak. So here was my first one. That's Ultraman Canada. It was the first time I did an Ultraman. And as you can see, I just finished the Ultraman. And I, as funny as it is, I was not injured and I wanted to do another one. And 2 months after, I did a second Ultraman. So I understood that something was going on and I had somewhat of a background to go the distance. And so I registered, well, I fell onto it because one guy got injured. So I bought his registration to be one of the 10 people. And the epic Deca is 10 Ironman in 10 days on all 6 Hawaiian islands. So not only do you finish 1 Ironman, but now you pack all your things, you fly to the next island, you unpack, and then you do another one, and then you do this for 10 consecutive days. And so after this, there's only 3 people in the entire world that did that event.
Wow. And what did you do? Did you relax on the last Hawaiian island for a couple weeks after that, or did you fly back to Quebec?
I went to Texas to visit some friends. I thought that I would become famous after this and that all my problems would go away. However, my problems were just beginning because I had sold my house to go and do that event. So I was essentially living in a storage unit. And even to this day, my son does not know that I was going every 2 weekends to go pick him up in the morning, just to go spend time with him, dropping him back at night to my ex-wife, and sleeping in my car, waiting for the next day. And then after, I went back to my storage unit, and this is when I started writing the book and then calling some friends, making some calls to see if I can do either other races or I could build systems. And that's when I started growing, essentially, because I realized that it's not just by finishing the race, but it's by creating something that will impact the life of others that I will be, again, making back the money that I spent on that event.
Wow. Isn't it so crazy about how we perceive success will be after we complete something that in our minds it's been driving us so much? And then what comes out on the other side is your relevancy of creating a new program to helping others. I mean, to go through everything that we go through and then God turns it around and then uses it for something else, completely what we weren't even thinking about in a sense, right? That's crazy stuff. And how, as we would say, how alcoholic of you to sell your house to go do that, and run that race. And I was reading on your post, it was really interesting. On day 4 of that race is where you found a lot of your extra resilience and go-to, right? You were going to tap out on day 4 and you were like willed in a wheelchair. Could you elaborate on that little moment for a minute?
Yes. So I never wanted to quit, and I had it in my mind. And the reason is because I had no other place to go. I did not burn the ship. I sold the house. So, but then nobody knew anything about it. I told the organizers, but because the organizers said, okay, you're ready to pay for it. And I said, I remember I was in a Zoom meeting and they said, you're ready to pay for it and everything is fine, right? You have all the fees covered. And I said, yes, of course. Because I sold my house. And she said, you sold your house? Oh, we can't allow that. No. That's crazy. So all I said was, oh, I just laughed. That's it. And she said, "Oh, it's a joke. Okay. So she really thought that it was a joke." But I really did. I sold my house. I took the money and I went to do that race. And I went to do that race. And on day 4, my IT band shut. Someone stole my pants. I am in my underwear. Someone landed me a hoodie. It was a girl's hoodie in my team. So I'm in a girl's hoodie in my underwear at the airport, walking with a burnt face because of all of the climate that is really hot. I mean, in comparison to Canadian climate. And I show up at the airport with my crew and I have difficulty walking. I don't want to quit, but I know that my legs are not able to walk even further. So there's this girl, she goes, "Get a wheelchair." Sarah puts me in the wheelchair and she pushes me. Then they look at my Facebook and they see that it's my birthday. So then people start wishing me, "Oh, happy birthday, JD." So now I'm in the middle of the epic Deca with a burnt face in my underwear in a wheelchair at the airport in a girl's hoodie. And people are just saying, "Well, happy birthday, JD." So it was a memorable birthday. I can tell you that right now. Then we went to the next island and my crew chief understood. Well, she understood that I would not quit, but she did not understand why. And she even said, "JD, please let me know why so I can understand." And I knew that she wouldn't. And I knew that at any moment, the organizer could have pulled me out of the race based on how I paid for the race. So I did not tell anybody that I sold my house. In the car, my crew chief gave me my wetsuit and said, "I know you're not going to quit, so in 20 minutes, you can restart." So I dressed my wetsuit in the back of the van with the rental car. We were at the other island, and I went to the beach, and we restarted the next Ironman. For the next swim, I swam without my legs, so I would get a little bit of rest, but I just swam with my arms the entire 2.4 miles of swimming, and understanding that I would rather do 10, 100, put it at 1,000 epic Deca than going back to all of the mental struggles that came in with the porn damages and all of the withdrawals that came with it. All of the mental struggles that I was going through and all the mental, the mental struggles that I went through with the military, the childhood, the porn, like everything just accumulated to this moment where I said, I rather want to do this event and even die than going back into this form of behavioral addiction and all of these mental struggles that come with it.
It sounded like you truly broke the habit of being yourself in that moment, in that day, and moving forward. It's unbelievable. So let's go into, that's crazy. So, yeah, I mean, extreme measures. I mean, a lot of us understand that, I'm not physically extreme in those kind of measures, but a lot of us in our listening population know extreme measures taken upon ourselves that would crack most minds, and then get on the other side of it and move forward and breaking the habit of being yourself and all these extreme measures. But we're going to get into another topic right here. We're just going to go to a quick little Instagram video clip that you did. And that's like a faith applied to life for like 1 minute. We'll be right back and we'll talk about that. And then we'll go into the last part of what's happening today with JD Tremblay. What do you think? Here we go.
Excellent. Hungry warriors. Too many men are consumed by the world, chasing money, fame, and attention. But Jesus said, "What good is it for someone to gain the whole world, yet forfeit his soul?" In Mark 8:36. You can have followers and still be lost. You can drive a luxury car and still feel empty inside. You can sleep beside someone and still be alone inside.
The real currency of a hungry warrior isn't dollars, it's discipline, obedience, and impact in the world. While others build empires for applause, how about you build something that God recognizes? Because fame fades, fortune disappears, but your legacy in God never dies.
Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit. Just building the person that we are today and not be so focused on all the accolades and what we think that will come along with it. Like what you thought. You thought you were going to be good to go. What an investment. I'll sell my house. I'll go through it. The accolades will ring throughout the planet. I'll never have to worry about work again or anything. And then God turns it into this unbelievable warrior program. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You always think that there's a beautiful light on the other side of this recovery, that all of a sudden you quit porn, and there's a lot of websites that talk about it where, well, you quit porn for 2 weeks and then you will have superpowers and you'll see through walls and you'll be able to fly. And this does not happen like that. You still have to build systems, and you still have to go through essentially the rise, where you recognize those patterns, you create your identity around what goal and values do you want to emulate. You have to create that structure, and you have to engage in healthy habits. And so where do people start? Well, they start from the basic. That's it. That they work with us or they work with anybody else, start with a small recognition or recognizing, I would say. So for example, someone that wants to quit alcohol will recognize those patterns. Is it behavioral where you're hanging out with that type of person and then you change that? And then you say, well, it's because I hang out with this person that I am doing this type of behavior. And then eventually, based on data, not just emotion, but based on data, facts, logic, that's when you overcome those habits, is by recognizing, being aware of those unhealthy habits. So to start small, and I can speak for myself, but I'm certain that it's going to be the same with you, is that we did not see ourselves being now years into recovery where we started and said, oh, I'm going to be years in recovery. And we started with one day, and then eventually we relapse, and then we move maybe sometime to 1 week, and then maybe we relapse, and then maybe you go for 1 year, and then you relapse, and then you go back again to the drawing board, and eventually you just go to, well, now you said at the beginning, and yeah, that's amazing. You said, what, 23 years? That's, you get like a bigger coin, or like a coin every year? Is that like, wow, right?
Yeah. Working on the biggest coin in history. So.
Exactly. Yeah. Which is amazing, right? So we don't see ourselves with or we want to achieve a lot of coins and a lot of those big coins, and congratulations on it. But we just don't see ourselves with we need to look at ourselves with the smaller coin. Just aim for the 1 day. Just aim for the 1 week. Recognize those patterns with your environment, with your habits, and sometimes it's your food that is not conducive to your growth, like I talked about it earlier. Sometimes it's just the way that you eat that puts those habits into what you want. So in terms of Hungry Warrior Academy, we help men grow physically, mentally, and spiritually. And we base ourselves on facts, logic, and science. We have some online courses. We have some online sessions. There's a session coming up very soon that is led by one of my good friend who's an ex-Navy SEAL, served for over a decade with the teams. And he's going to be leading a group of men who have the heart of changing. And we only work with men who have the heart to change. We don't care how smart or how fit you are. What we want is results, because we don't want money. We are already successful. What we want is results for the people so that they can be successful in their surroundings and helping their community, because it's as a team that we're able to grow, and we want those successful men in their community.
I see on your website and your social media page too, a lot about the humanitarian work you're doing. You were helping people. I don't know what country it was, build their homes, and how much philanthropy comes from your program.
Correct. A portion of the money that is collected from all the retreats, the courses, and the online sessions. And we also have some private donors. The Hungry Warrior Academy Africa is located in Nairobi, Kenya. That's our philanthropic side of the company. So we have a team down there, and we are now operating in 5 different countries with a collaboration with the United Nations, with the UNICEF, so for children. And we are providing clean water, houses. And the way we're different is because we offer this mentora system where we're training those kids to have a different mindset and to be the leaders that we want to see in the world, not just providing with the food and the tools to success, but the mindset is what will get them to that success. Because in those countries, when you give money and you give the tools, if you don't have the proper mindset, very often all of this money ends up in the wrong hands because they get taken away by the good, or from the good people, essentially. So by changing their mindset, that's how we get to help them so that people can grow regardless of their financial situation.
Yeah, we shout it out here a lot. The new revolution has to be created and through the mind and the heart. And I saw that you had kids there, that you have them riding the bikes and learning how to discipline and routine themselves. And it's a more than just throwing money at something. I mean, you understand at ground level. Yeah. Did you ever think you'd be working with the United Nations and be in 5 different countries? And thank God it didn't work out the way you wanted it to. I mean, so many people think that it was messy. So many people think that they needed to be a linear process. We know it is all over the place, and you were doing it messy, and it came from a whole bunch of mess, but we took what we needed. We put things together, and then all we can do is present it to the world in the way with a lot of help from God, a lot of help from faith, a lot of process, whatever steps that you do have, the RISE program, the warriors. I mean, inside of all of us is this fostering that needs to happen, that people think it's going to happen one way or another. And a lot of people just can't see in front of them anymore because their minds are closed. And you're a person that is, reached out to us, which was crazy, right? I mean, there's so much relative. It seems like everybody that wants to be in a self-help program or anything, we're all in recovery. It's a pretty blanketed term across the planet right now. We're all recovering from broken systems, broken people, to have that much addiction. I call our society the addiction creation machine. It is very, very prevalent all across the planet that drugs became conveniently available for all the kids and the adults, and everything to keep you distracted. 12-year-old boys and the stuff on the internet and the mass distraction that's happening with reels at all. They can't even keep focused for more than 15 seconds at a time, let alone for an hour-long podcast. I mean, we have no problem with doing it. And that we just go ahead and don't comply to a limited focus aspect of life or living it or anything of it. And it is unbelievable. And any last words you got here? Because we're winding down. What do you think there? Got something you could just really relay to us, or where you're at right now with all of that?
Yeah, excellent. I would say if everybody could simply think about the ways and how they can apply it to their life, recognize the pattern, identity, structure, and engage in healthy habits, that will change how they're looking at behavioral addictions or even addictions.
Amazing. We appreciate it. We appreciate you for coming on. We're going to be doing some shout outs. We'll put all your links in the show notes. And it's been an amazing, thank you for just keep on keeping on in what you've been doing and just keep on rising and, keep on being the warrior that you are and helping other people. We need so much help in the program of the 12 steps. It's always very prevalent that, if you need extra help or you need anything in it, I'll be checking out your program. Anytime I see things I want to feather into my life that'll help me grow upon to where I am right now, it is more than willing and accepted. So we're going to be doing some shout outs here on the end of SSP 46. We can be reached on all platforms right here on info@f3recovery.org and info@supersoberpodcast.org. And we're going to be shouting out the new product right here. And this is Recovery Time Links. This structure to my right here is my 23-year chips. You were talking about it there, JD Tremblay. And then this is a 23-year structure right here. And at the bottom of it, we got 2 chips from his house, a new creation. We got a 3-year little one right here. This one is actually a 9-month, an 18-month, and a 1-year little setup right here with 3 of the recovery time links. Never forget how far you come. This is a new one right here behind me. They link up together, they screw together in the back, and they are magnetic. You can pop them in and out. There's some examples right there. And you can pop them in and out of the recovery holder and stuff. It's pretty amazing. And if you see it right here, see, I can just pop one out really quick. Look at that. Boom. They come out and then you pop them back in, spin them around however you want to set them up. And in the back, you can see they screw together. You just go to recoverytimelinks.com, proud sponsor of SSP, Recovery Time Links. And shout out to Notorious JID, the first mascot of recovery, Notorious Jails, Institutions, and Death. Oh my. And we are on all platforms. You just type in Super Sober Podcast. And man, you right there, we're on Spotify, you name it, man. And you just type us in. And we're out there helping people in the public. Shout out to His House New Creation. And shout out to The Detox, the first streaming series that I wrote for addiction. We're trying to get someone in Hollywood to do this one. It's a story of addiction, the deadliest disease that man has ever known. Wow. Who knows? And we'll have our first streaming series. And we're always doing stuff right here. And we're always looking on increasing and moving on. And thanks again to you, JD Tremblay. And thanks to the Solomon at the podcast place. And don't forget to keep on keeping on.
Thank you for listening to the Super Sober Podcast. Go to our website at f3recovery.org. That's F3Recovery, all one word, .org. We're turning fight, flight, and freeze into free form and flow through practicing the 12 steps and staying accountable to change. Don't forget to keep on keeping on.